do is we're going to do a sample problem about slope. And I think for a lot of you, it actually might be straightforward, right? We're not going to worry about slopes of a curve or nonlinear, not because you guys can't handle it, but we just, if you ever take economics at a higher level, or not higher level, but beyond principles, that's when you're going to deal with it a lot more. So we're not going to worry about that, all right? So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to work out a few problems, but in order to do that, we need to know, right, how to do that. So if you can remember, slope is equal to rise over 1, not times 100, right? Nothing like that. And remember, the rise is essentially what's going on with the y-axis, right? The sun rises, sun sets, and we run. Now, people are like, oh, we run up a hill. Well, I don't. I like to stay pretty flat. So, essentially, we have rise, and we have run, okay? So, what we're going to do is we're going to get fancy. And you might say, I've kind of seen this before. So the slope is about the change. Because we want to know is, when one thing changes, how does this affect something else, right? Because remember, there's a connection, there's a relationship between variables. So it's going to be x2 minus x1. And what are we going to do? That's going to be the change in x, okay? So, for example, I say x1, x2. We're just going to say we're just going to pick the first point and the second point for x. We're going to go y2 minus y1, which is the change in y. And it's sort of, as we discover, it's very similar to percentage change because it's always going to be n value. It doesn't matter if the n value is even smaller than the starting one. It's always going to be the second minus the first, right? So that's how we deal with that. And I'm going to show you a problem here. All right, so we're going to make this a bit bigger. Okay, so what we have here, right, is we have 2 points. We have 2, 1, and 6, 3. Okay. So let's suppose you have 2 sets of coordinates, right? 2, 1, and 6, 3. Okay? So x1, y1, x2, y2. So the second x is 6, the second y is 3. So the slope, we're going to do this. We're going to do x2 minus x1. So that's going to be 6 minus 2, which is equal to 4. So the change in x, right? Then the change in y is going to be equal to 3 minus 1, which is 2. All right. Now, remember, I made this too big. So we made this bigger. So now what's going to happen is we're going to go and we're going to plug those numbers in for x2 minus x1, right? So we have the formula. And the formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which is equal to 4 over 2. And the slope is do you know what the slope is? No, I don't. No, I'm kidding. All right? Slope is 2. And later on in other classes, we can actually interpret the slope. But we want to keep it quite simple here. So we're going to go ahead and do one more sample problem. All right? So now, if you think about it, a lot of people got money during COVID. All right? And when you get money, what do you do with it? You spend it. All right? So when people have this, we're going to show you what's going to happen. So essentially, this is x1 y1, x2, y2. And if we were to graph it just to show you, we have 100, 300, and we have 400. It should be 1,200, not 12,000. Well, it's a big number there. I think your accountant or your bank wouldn't be too happy if they gave you that wrong number. You wouldn't complain, right? So, the slope, we want to find out the slope between these points. And remember, these are coordinates. My line should be straight, but it's not. So in the real world, the government would actually want to figure out the slope because they want to know, okay, if we give this group money, how much will they spend? If we give this group money, how much will they spend? And the idea is you want people to spend as much as possible when the government gives them money during the COVID period, right? So the run, right, or the change in x, okay? The change in x is the run, and that's equal to 1,200 minus 300, which is equal to 900. The rise, which is the change in y. Tell me why. Okay, I don't know why I said that, which was a song by Norah Jones, which is 300. If we plug those numbers in, the slope is equal to 300 over 900, which is equal to 1 over 3. Well, in fact, what we could say is any additional income. So let's say the government deposits $1,000 in your pocket. Guess what? 1/3 of it is spent. And what do you do with the rest? You save. So hopefully these sample problems helped you.